Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the thinness of smartphones and why I think that is not the future. So let's get into it. So as you guys all know, a lot of foldable phones are coming out nowadays and they are very thin, like world record breaking thinness, and it's kind of crazy. So like this is the Apple Find N versus the Z Fold 6. And as you can see, the Apple Find N, when it's open, like just the side of the phone, when it's open is 4.2 millimeters. The Z Fold 6 is 5.6 millimeters. And then you can see like a little diagram of how they stack up against each other. So the Apple Find N is also just bigger overall, but significantly thinner. Even though on paper it looks like it's not much of a difference, in your hands you'll definitely feel the difference. So yeah, a lot of new foldable phones are coming out thinner and thinner every single time. Even Samsung has made their foldable phone a lot thinner overall throughout the years. And I feel like personally, where, the Honor Magic V3, honestly, even where the Z Fold 6 stopped at, and then you also have the Vivo X Fold 3 Pro at 4.7 millimeters and the Pixel 9 Pro Fold at 5.1 millimeters. And yeah, as these phones come out, they get thinner and thinner. And the reason why I'm making this video is because I feel like thinness is not the future for us. Like thin phones, really hyper thin phones are not the future, because that basically just destroys the potential performance and what you can do with these phones. Like obviously for a day-to-day experience, your daily life, the Apple Find N5 is going to be fine for most people. Like most people are not playing games. Most people, realistically, even though they are foldable phones and they're made for multitasking, most people are not multitasking. And if they are, it's probably two apps side by side at the most. So like what I'm saying is probably not going to really affect a lot of people. But I think as phones get thinner and thinner, we're going to have a lot more issues with gaming and a lot more issues with even multitasking and this high-end performance, the productivity that these phones are marketed towards. We're going to have more and more issues unless like the chips that are developed become super efficient to the point where like they don't dissipate heat at all, or like they figure out the thermal management. But at the moment as it stands, the thermal management is not figured out on these devices. Like you can see YouTube videos on all these foldable phones. One good example of what I'm talking about is the fact that the Apple Find N5 is a newer foldable phone compared to the Z Fold 6, which came out last year. It has the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is supposed to be more powerful and more efficient, all that stuff. It is newer and has the higher specs, yet it still performs very similar to the previous foldable phones that already came out. The Z Fold 6, the Honor Magic V3, even the OnePlus Open. OnePlus Open might even perform better than these. I need to see more tests on that, but the fact that this newer device with the better chip is still performing similar to last year's foldable phones is an example of why I just think the thinness doesn't really make sense, because this phone is extremely thin, probably the thinnest phone right now on the planet, but the performance sucks. And like it has a big beautiful screen, people want to play games on it, people want to be productive, and yet the performance is not good. I mean, like for an average experience, like if you lower the graphics for games and stuff like that, then yeah, you'll have a pretty smooth experience. But like who buys a $3,000 phone? This phone is like $3,000 Canadian after tax. Who buys that kind of phone for an average experience to turn down the graphics? It kind of sucks when you think about it. So personally, I believe and feel like thinness is not everything, and it's not the future for us. Or maybe it is the future, but it's not the future that we need or necessarily want. People really want these thin phones because they like how it feels and stuff like that, pocketability. But is it really what you want in terms of your daily performance? Like I've seen so many people talk about foldable phones and complain about them heating up and stuff like that. And all across all the brands, I've seen Honor Magic V3 people talk about their phones heating, OnePlus Open, Z Fold 6, Pixel Folds. Like people say their phones heat up a lot. And it's like, why do you think your phone is heating up? Part of it is the software and the optimization and stuff like that, background apps using resources for no reason. Part of it, that is the issue. But then the other part is because your phone is very thin, there's not a lot of space for thermal management. On regular smartphones, you have better opportunity because there's more space to thermal manage, to put like heat sinks and stuff like that and dissipate the heat better, versus on a foldable phone where it's very thin, especially like the Find N and the next wave of foldable phones that we're about to see. The thinness is crazy. And like regular smartphones, I feel like they kind of reach a point where they don't get too much thinner than they already are. But you see brands kind of testing the waters. Like the new iPhone SE is really thin. the new Samsung Galaxy Slim or something like that is going to be super thin. And I feel like that phone is probably going to perform very poorly when it comes out, even though it's super thin. So is thinness what we really want? Is thinness the future? Personally, I don't think so. I think, we reached a point where like we're good enough. This is not bad at all. This is probably not the thinnest phone on the market, the phone that I'm holding in the video. But like this, we don't need thinner than this. We really don't. I mean, that's my personal opinion, I guess. But like this is pretty good, in terms of thinness. This is not bulky. Doesn't feel bad at all. Weight is pretty good. And that's the thing too. Like with the S25 Ultras, we brought the weight down. A lot of the flagships are coming down in weight, but still being able to deliver good performance. The S25 Ultra is Samsung's first phone that actually is a genuinely good gaming experience in terms of like the sustained performance, not thermal throttling down really fast or like thermal throttling at all really. Like that phone games really good to a comparable level to the point where it's like behind the iPhones. Usually Android phones don't meet up with the iPhones in terms of gaming unless it's like a gaming specific phone that's designed for that. So, we've reached a really good point. The S25 Ultra is lighter, but it's able to game, and other Android phones are now able to game at a decent level while still being, a decent size. So do we really want our phones to be paper thin? I don't know. I would rethink that because it just doesn't leave a lot of room for heat management. And yeah, you never know. Like in 2022, when they put out the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, there was a lot of issues with that chip overheating. It just wasn't a good thermal performing year until the 8 Plus Gen 1 came out. And that was so much better in terms of efficiency. But, what if we see another chip like that, but then, companies are trying to make their phones like this, then that's going to be, a bad situation. And to be honest, if we make it really thin too, it's going to be hard to manage the durability of these devices. And I feel like where regular slab phones are at right now, like the 16 Pro Max, the S25 Ultra, I feel like the durability of those phones are really good. Like you can go check out drop tests, durability tests for the S25 Ultra and see how much of a brick that phone is. Like it looks good, feels good, it's light in the hands, has good ergonomics, has the cameras, everything, all the features, but it's still very durable. And it's not like the thinnest phone ever, but like I feel like that's a decent trade-off in my opinion. So thinness, it's not everything, it's not the future in my opinion. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But until the next video, we're out. Peace.